Sunday, it's time for a roast. So we're going to do roast pheasant and roast shoulder of pork. So we're going to crack on and we're going to get on with it. Right, so the first thing we're going to do, I've already scored the pork, is we're going to drizzle some olive oil over the top, like so. Then we're just going to rub it into the flesh, into the skin on both the pheasant and the pork. Just rub it all in like so. Right, and then we'll get your cloth in one hand. Right, I'm going to get some salt. I would prefer sea salt, it's a lot better, but we use what we got. Just sprinkle it all over the skin. So rub it in to the skin on the pork to give you a nice crackling. Right. Next, chuck some black pepper on there. Like so. And then sprinkle some mixed herbs. I'm cheating using the dried one that just says mixed herbs on it. I'll just read it, what ones are in there. Right, mixed herbs. Try adding to your favourite dish. Marjoram, basil, thyme and oregano, or oregano, however you say it. Right, so that's all I want to do to the pork. So we're going to get that in on a low heat. Leave that for a few hours. So it's nice and done. And then we cut the skin off, separate the skin, put it back in, and put the skin in about 10-15 minutes before the end, just to finish it up and make some lovely crackling. Right, so next with this pheasant, just because it's me that's eating it and nobody else, I'm just going to get these garlic cloves all separated like this. We're going to top and tail them. See, you've got them all nice and separated. Now we're going to top and tail them and then just chuck them in there and let the juices from the pheasant and the oil that I'd just put in there roast it. Nice big knife. So top and tail. That's it. Top, tail. I think we got, how many got? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 or 9 cloves of garlic we've got here. And we're just going to let them roast in the pan. We're going to drizzle a bit more oil in the pan as well. Chop and tail these quickly. And we're going to do the same with the pheasant as we're doing with the pork. We're going to put it on low heat for a few hours so it cook through. I would recommend putting foil over the meat, then the heat help it to steam with its own juices, makes it nice and tender. But as I've said for the last couple of videos, I am seriously lacking in certain stuff because these were all spur of the moment things that I'm doing. So we're just using what we got. So we got these cloves of garlic. We're not going to chop them up. Actually, I might just slice them in half to get an even spread in the pan. I'm not going to chop them up finely. We're just going to sort of snip them in half and just chuck them in. Bit more oil, and let it roast off in there and get nice flavours running through the house. And that nice smell that I like, the Italian cooking, the oregano, the garlic, all the herbs. So yeah, we'll leave that for a few hours. We'll get on, we'll do some vegetables. We're going to cheat and use frozen vegetables, and then we're going to do some nice roast potatoes. We're going to boil them first. So that's a bit later on, about half hour we'll boil them for, and then we'll chuck them in a pan with some olive oil and some herbs. I like to use rosemary and thyme on my potatoes. So there we go, all over. There we go. A little bit more olive oil in the pan. There we go. Shift it about. There we go. And we get that in. Right. And we'll come back when it's time to do the potatoes. So I've finally got out my pajamas and it's time to get on and do the roast potatoes. So I've already drained them. Yeah. And then what we're going to do is we're going to stick them in with the pheasant. Oh, I've flipped you down too much. Look at that. There we go. Just going to put them in with the pheasant, which is coming out lovely and golden. And put a drop more olive oil. Just to help the potatoes crisp up a bit. And we're going to get some rosemary. Like so. Put it on the potatoes, just the potatoes. And then some thyme. Now I don't want to put this on the pheasant. I just want it on the potatoes. And now they're nice and soft, we're going to put them in for another half an hour. And they should be nice and ready. So let's hop to it. Right, now we've got the pheasant back in and the potatoes in. We're going to get the pork out. We're going to cut that thick layer of skin off, put it to the side for crackling, which is going to go in at the same time as our little pots of stuffing. So what we're going to do is get out and just cut the strings to start with. Okay. Take the little strings off. I like to get this meat out while the skin's just a little soft still. So it's easier to work with, because when it goes hard it tends to grip onto these little strings. Alright, so we're taking all the string off. Right. Now, we want to get our little knife here and do little movements just to peel the skin back from the meat without taking any of the meat off. Just basically cutting into the fat just to get the thin layer of skin off. We hold it up with a fork so I don't burn myself. You see what I mean? See all that white fat we're just cutting into there. So we're not actually losing any of the nice meat. There we go. There we are. Now that, we're going to rub some salt and that on there. Put it on the plate and put it back in near the end. But for now, we're going to get our joint of meat And we're going to flip her over. All them lovely juices at the bottom. Can help cook it as well. And we're going to get that back in the oven. There we go. And like I said, we'll come back in about half hour, 45 minutes. We'll get everything out. Right, just going to do the stuffing. Not doing it from scratch today. We're using that. But when we use this, I like to put a spoonful, well, a spoon and a bit, sort of butter in there and all, like so. And then boiling water. All mixed in nicely like that, and then a bit of olive oil. I'm going to fill these ramekins, coat these ramekins. Excuse me, little silicone pastry brush. Get them all nice and coated before we put the stuffing in. Like so. There we are. Then just going to put a couple of spoons in to start off with, so we know that everyone's got the same amount. As those of you with kids will know, if they're not exactly the same, they will fight and argue. And then go around and put one more in each of those. A little bit extra in my one, because I do love stuffing. And just spread it out in there with the back of the spoon. Use the back of the spoon just to spread it out. And do this all the way around. In fact, I think that one can nick some out of that one. Little stuffing bowls. Next job is this. Get it down there on chopping board. I'm going to generously coat it with salt. Just rub that all in there. And same again on the other side. Nice generous helping of salt. Now, make sure it gets in all them cracks that have opened up. There we go. And we put it skin side down on there with the stuffing bowls, and we'll get them in. Right, so now it's just time to carve everything up. We've got the pheasant here, which is going to go onto my plate. I'm going to carve him up in a bit. We've got the shoulder of pork. dish up these potatoes, like so. A few on each plate, obviously. Great little gadget this is. I've bought off of eBay. Works great for vegetables, chips, everything, pastas. That was only a couple of quid. I'll put the link for that in the description. Lovely potatoes, crispy on the outside, soft in the middle. Just the way I like them. My mum always tells the story when we have roast potatoes at Christmas. At the time she caught me on video camera stealing roast potatoes. Right in front of everybody, trying to hide that I was doing it. But I do love roast potatoes when they're done properly. Right, and all this meat juice goes in the gravy. Like that. There we go. Then we get my special little piggy whisk. That's a bit thick, so just add a bit more. Boiling water, that's better. There we go. That's perfect. Right. How are these? Then put on the stuffing. Go. Right, now big knife. Start cutting this pork shoulder. Nice thick cut pieces. That popping noise, I don't know if you can hear it, is the crackling should be finishing. So we'll just turn that off. And a couple of slices on each plate. What's left can be cut up for sandwiches. Now, all I'm going to do with this is cut it in half, right down the breastbone. Hear that snap? It's that bone just here. There. Now, half this to be eaten, half's for sandwiches. But what we're going to do is we're going to try this meat. It's the first time I've roasted pheasant. So I'm going to pull some of this meat off and try that. Yeah. Just like chicken. bit dry because I left it in too long, but with the gravy it'd be good. Thumbs up from me.